So I think Anand has spoken about the cognitive side of data. I'll be speaking about how do we humanize data. In other words, how do we make it more friendly and approachable? So, so here are a couple of screenshots of a health app on my phone. It answers a specific set of questions that I might have, like what's my step count on a week? When was it maximum? What's the trend in a month? When did I walk most of the times? How long did I stand in a day? And what's my average standing time on a week? And how many calories did I burn? So all of these visualizations, they answer a specific set of questions that I might have. The traditional data visualizations. Instead, can data visualizations be the start of a conversation rather than the end to a question? So here's a data artwork that's created by Giorgia Lupi, an information designer, and Kaki King, an experimental musician. This is based on data of Kaki's 3-year-old daughter. She's been going through an autoimmune disease where her body attacks her own platelets. Platelets are basically tiny blood vessels that help our body produce clots so that it can help stop bleeding. So because of this condition, Cooper started developing bruises and injuries on her body. The following weeks, she had to go through a couple of medical procedures like blood tests. She's kept on steroids that has to be tracked. Her platelet counts were raising and falling throughout the journey, which were also tracked. So all of this data is overwhelming for both Cooper and her mother, Kaki. That's when Giorgia Lupi decided to help them process their emotions and experiences they went through this journey. So because autoimmune disease is visually an unusually visual disease, the doctors have asked Kaki to keep a watch on Cooper's skin condition. If there are any bruises, they've asked Kaki to make a note of them. So Kaki collected all the data about her daughter's disease, like what activities they did in a day, what treatments she had to undergo, the medical record or readings, feelings that they had, fear, stress, or hopeful times. All of these were tracked and noted down. And the result of it was a visually represented artwork, which is created by Giorgia Lupi, the designer. So each petal that you see here represents a different day. And every time there is a test, it shows a new group of petals. And the platelet counts are represented by the red spots around these petals. Similarly, there are small pink dots that talk about Cooper's bleeding. There are bruises. The purple yellow splotches on the petals represent the bruises on Cooper's body. And similarly, there are these gray shapes at the right side of every petal that talks about the medications that Cooper has taken or the steroid that she had to go through. And similarly, there's also one more visual element where anything positive, the positive moments in the entire journey were marked. So there are many other visual elements that are represented in the artwork. But if we look at the artwork, it's not a scientific representation of data, but it outlines the impact a child's illness can have on her as well as her family. It's more a warm and intimate data visualization rather than a typical clinical record that doesn't emphasize on human details. So Giorgia Lupi calls this data humanism, which is a reaction against the computer-generated harsh toned bar graphs and pie charts, and that which has a human touch to the story. So we'll look at a simpler example. Data that's approachable, friendly, and warm. So this is another data challenge that Giorgia Lupi and her friend Stephanie Posafak has done over a period of a year. Every week they sit and create a data card based on their personal data. So 1 week was they did a challenge on the sounds that they heard every hour for 30 seconds. They tracked where it has come from, which place was it from, and the emotion they had when they heard these sounds. Um, so on the left side, you see the data visualization that's based on the data that they have collected. They have their own visual style to represent the data. It doesn't necessarily be a line graph or a bar chart or any other typical charts. Basically, there are no rules in terms of representing data. There are infinite ways to visualize data and tell a story. That's one. So after the session, I would like all of us to create a data activity. So I want all of you to set a timer for 10 minutes every day for a week. During that time, be mindful and make a note of every sound you hear. When the time is up, think about how to categorize your sounds. Where are they coming from? Then draw them using your own visual chart language. Doesn't have to be the typical chart elements. And make sure you give it a legend to explain your visual elements. And please do send your data cards by the end of it. So how will this help? One, it'll inspire us to draw. Two, it'll ask us to slow down to appreciate the small details of our lives. Then it'll help us to make connections with other people the analog way, which we haven't been focusing for a long time. It's a new way of looking at data, something very personalized. Then it also focuses on revealing human stories that are otherwise hidden in the data. It focuses on telling more intuitive and intimate stories. So finally, I think we should all move towards using data to not just become more efficient, but also to become more human, touch upon the human aspects of data.